And we're live. Welcome once again to another podcast of AI across the product lifecycle. I'm Michael Finocchiaro, I'm your host, and I'm joined today by Moritz Rietschel. Did I get that right this time? I think I did.
Perfect.
Of Raven, which is a really cool CAD package, and also Chloë Guidi of Qonic, which is Moritz, you guys are in Austria and Germany, if I recall, and Chloe, you're in Belgium, so it's a European edition right now. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? So tell me about Qonic and Chloe a little bit.
So hi, I'm Chloe. I've been working as a software engineer at Qonic for about 4 years now. So I started there in 2021, and that's also when Qonic was founded. So I've been there since the early beginnings. Before
Nice.
that, I worked at another company, which was or is still working on a CAD platform. So I've been in the industry for about 9 years now as a software engineer. So that's been very interesting. Maybe a little bit about Qonic. I don't know if everyone knows what it's doing. At Qonic, we really believe that we should democratize the BIM process because, the traditional tools, they require way too expensive hardware and it's really heavy software. So we really started from scratch to build a BIM platform that is cloud-based, that is modern and user-friendly. We really started from scratch to build that such that you can, or everyone can model freely, that they can view massive models even in the browser performantly, and that they can also enhance the data. They can verify and validate the data. So all of that in one platform. So that's what we build at Qonic.
Yeah, and I think you guys wrote your own graphics kernel too, which is really cool.
Yeah, solid modeling kernel, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. Jacob showed me spinning, running around. It get me a little bit sick, but that was really cool. So tell me more. It's about Raven.
Yeah, so I'm Moritz. I'm one of the founders at Raven. We
Philippe,
first
right?
brought out Philip and Max also, so there's 3 of us. And we first came out with the product a year and a half ago, so a lot younger than Qonic. And therefore also we started out with a product that was AI first right from the start. So basically we had this insight that a lot of the tools that are out there are really useful and very powerful, but quite hard to use and manage and get the skills to use them. So when we started out with Raven, it was really supposed to help you use complex tools like Rhino and Grasshopper more efficiently and easier and quicker. And so now we've built out this platform that's very, very good at supporting your existing workflows with AI tools. So they work across a lot of different plugins, everything that Rhino and Grasshopper connects to, Raven can help you with. So you can connect to Revit or Tekla structures or Archicad and all these other things. So that's what we did.
Awesome. I would start with the first question about looking back. So, we've sort of had a moment, right? The OpenAI moment. There was before 2022, before everybody saw this chat window, and after. Were you guys skeptical or bullish when you first saw that? Did you think like, oh my God, the world just changed, or were you like, I don't know, this is a bit of a fad? Either of you can pick that one up first. Up to you.
I guess at first it was. I think I would say I was curious more so than bullish or I think it was a fad, and then it was very bad at first. I just distinctly remember that it would get all the things wrong, and there were all these funny ways of making it tell you something wrong, or you ask it any kind of factual question, and it would just hallucinate on something. So it was fun. I think at first it was fun. Yeah.
How about you, Chloe?
Yeah, I think for me it was a bit similar. Like I was intrigued, so I really wanted to try it. Yeah, especially as a software engineer, always had the feeling, okay, something major would come someday. So it was really, you had this feeling like, okay, maybe this is it. But indeed, while trying it, you quickly saw the limitations, especially for coding. Yeah, we realized, okay, it's too soon. So we could use it for text generation and stuff like that. But other than that, it was a bit too soon to really start using it in the company. But yeah, we kept an eye on it.
No, but I
Yeah.
mean, did you guys see that did you see it as something, as a game changer from the beginning, or you were like, well, you already said you were sort of a wait and see, right? Because it was so immature. And I suppose it's been such a surprise. The rate at which it's improved has been really spectacular. Um, and you mentioned, you're a software engineer, Chloe. I, I I'm imagining that it's changed completely now in 2026 the way you develop software. So that's sort of the second section is how has it changed in terms of the tooling and also your behavior as a programmer? How has it changed for you at Qonic?
Yeah, exactly. In the beginning of this year, I think everything changed. Yeah, you realize, okay, the the complexity of the task that it can do has gone up way more, and it can solve tasks that would take us a couple of hours. And that's the point that we also realized, okay, we have to really start adopting this in the company. So that's when we started to use Cloud Code for software development. Um, so it's been working really well, and it really accelerates our process. But we still have the feeling like, okay, we are creating a very complex BIM application. So
Hmm.
it really helps us, but we still have to be very critical about the outputs because we need to develop something that is performant and scalable. And yeah, it's not like a small tool. So we have to build something that is very good. And so it helps us, but we also have to be very critical about the outputs.
Exactly, yeah. Same for you, Moritz, or has it been a little different?
Um, so I mean, before I get into maybe building the product, that's like for me, 2.5 or 3 years ago, I was in graduate school, so I was actually doing a lot of research very early on, and back then I would build very complex systems to like get LLMs to do 3D reasoning and to model CAD and do all these things, and so I distinctly remember in early 2024, so well over 2 years ago. I built like a first system that would bring LLMs into CAD. And it was really complex, and the results were very, very like, you'd run it 10 times and before you see anything that looks like something. But that was interesting because I could kind of like guess at the future a little bit, Like at the time I was just poking around at this weird new thing that's an LLM and like trying to find strategies to elicit the kind of thing that I was interested in, which is CAD work and reasoning. And so I could watch this progression of like every new model that came out, and especially the jump in late 2024 with the reasoning models with like O1 preview became available. It was like a giant leap for everything that I had done. And then so much of the scaffolding that I had built would just collapse into the model. And I thought that was interesting. So by late 2024, I was like a full believer because I had seen sort of all the work that I had done just sort of collapse into the model, and the model would do it by itself. And that was a big, big change. So I would say, in 2023 or 2022, when we first started interacting with ChatGPT and you'd ask it factual questions and you get them wrong. And that was kind of an early moment. But then within the year 2024, I saw it just explode in its capabilities. And so much work that I had done just months prior had become kind of unnecessary. That, then I was like, okay, this is like, it's not stopping anytime soon, and it's going to go pretty far. Which still doesn't mean that it is like, write software so much, because I guess I wasn't interested in using it to write software. I was interested in seeing sort of the capabilities for it in CAD directly, not to make CAD software. So that's sort of the world that my mind was at, all 2 years ago. So it's
Right,
been a
really
while.
cool. How has it changed the way you guys work as a team? Because I'm trying to imagine must have agents showing up now for Scrum meetings, right? I mean, since they're the ones actually doing the code. How has it changed? I mean, are you guys both using Agile or Waterfall or some kind of mashup of the two? And how has AI changed that? How is AI? How are you putting guardrails on it as a developer and still leveraging it on a daily basis? Go ahead, Moritz.
You
You
can go
seem to
ahead.
want
Yeah.
to talk.
However, well, I mean, it's a very interesting question, and it's also something that you have to continuously reevaluate, right? So not just as the models and the harnesses change, but also maybe you learn things using them and you figure out what works and what doesn't. And I guess I'm just reading a lot more code than I used to, because there's so much more code being produced, but now, like Chloe said, right, you need to be very critical of the output and really evaluate it thoroughly. So that's like a big change that I see. It's a lot more review, which is also a lot of work.
Yeah, true. Yeah. It's
How
not
about
like,
you for you,
yeah,
Chloe?
at the moment, it's not like we really let it just solve tasks without us looking at it. So that's something, for example, we had a look to incorporate it in our exception follow-up. So when there are issues coming by customers that are using it, um, to have a look like, okay, this is something that the customer was trying. Maybe it can just solve it by itself because these are sometimes small issues. But then we quickly noticed like, okay, it's not always solving the issue correctly, and or it's maybe solving some null reference exception to maybe not go too technical, but yeah, that's not the actual issue. So that's when we realized, okay, we should use it a bit differently. So now we are using it to make summaries and to maybe assign the correct person to look at it and to propose something, but then someone still really checks it and has a look whether it's actually correct. And but also there, it really helps us to remove some work that otherwise had to be done manually. So there, it really helps us, uh, but we still have to interfere ourselves.
So it's good to get rid of some of the mundane stuff, and
Yeah,
yet you still
definitely.
have to keep an eye on it because it can still give you a pink elephant once in a while, which you don't want. um, that's cool. And I was that sort of leads into the next section is I think that a lot of people that are not very close to the startup world or close to engineering don't realize how much AI is a part of everything. And so I'd like to ask you guys, like, in your software, in Raven and in Qonic, where does the AI sit? Is it at the user interface level in terms of, there's a chatbot and you're asking it to do stuff? Is there a foundational model where you've taught it how to build a building or to, do Rhino? Or is it the entire DNA? Maybe you've also put it all through, up and down through the stack. Where is AI actually implemented in the software? In other words, how's the DNA of software in 2026 changed from the DNA pre-2022 or even 2024, because it's really the Cloud Code. And I think it was Anti-Gravity might have been the first like pretty awesome agentic coder and then quickly replaced by Cloud Code. Anyway, I'll let you guys answer. Moritz, you seem to have want to talk.
I always like, okay, I mean, look, we built a software that was from the start about interacting with AI, and so obviously it's part of every bit of the software. What I think is interesting is that there's kind of two ways to deal with coding models, and then one of them is like, oh, I am making the software already. Now I can code with agents, so I can make the software faster, right? Which is like very good. That's what's happening everywhere. Everybody's going to be more efficient, write more software. But the real, like, to us, the real thing that changed, or like the thing that we are seeing and how we think about this problem, and because we're such a young entry, I guess, also into the space, is we are working with those models. We're not using them to like build a thing and then ship something that has no AI in it, right? That's kind of like, we're not just building something faster than was already possible before, but we're just doing something completely different. Like the product that we do makes absolutely no sense without AI. So yes, the AI is at every level, and I also think that that's just a different kind of category, right? It's like an AI application and not an application written with AI. So that's just what we are. Like our DNA is making AI work for you in your design workflows, and we have AI at every level.
How about for Qonic?
Yeah, I think our point of, okay, we are not an AI application, but I think our point of view is a bit similar, that we really want to embed it like in the product, like not just one chatbot, or just, for example, other tools, they use it to generate some 2D images, or we really want to go further than that, because architects, we believe that they don't spend their time modeling, but they lose a lot of time in doing quality checks, doing clash detection, checking whether the quantities are right. So if we can incorporate the intelligence really in the whole application and in the tools, while they are modeling, then that way they can solve and win a lot of time, because nowadays, they have to model, then build, then fix it, and then the fixing is always afterwards. So if we can incorporate that in the tools, a lot of issues can be prevented. And this is what we want to do with Qonic, is to make these tools intelligent enough to already take into account all the compliances while modeling, or to already say without someone asking for it, maybe this quantity is not correct, have a look at it. And this way, this can really help the users to get better models and get better quality of the models.
Another thing I've been thinking about a lot, because of all these changes, is also the economic model, right? Because it's expensive. I mean, Cloud Code, I don't know how much it costs me, more than I even want to say online every month. How are you guys dealing with that? Because that's as a startup using AI, that's definitely a consideration. Like, how are you going to offset the cost of the cloud? Because obviously these solutions are running. You also have to pay AWS every month, and you've got to pay a cloud code bill. How are you guys leveraging that? Or are you doing bring your own LLM for users so that they can get some of the things, or thinking of doing your own foundational model so you don't have to pay Anthropic for every single click? I mean, how are you trying to rationalize that in your products, respectively?
I'll go first this
Moritz,
time.
okay, go for it, Chloe.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think we definitely are also checking MCP. So I think at that point they would use their own account, or would be able to use their own account. But for the other pricing, I think we are still developing like more the usage of the LLM as well. So I think for pricing wise, we still have to investigate a bit how we will tackle it. But it's definitely a relevant question. How to set the pricing.
Yeah. And Morris, how about you?
Obviously very central to our business case and offering. There's a couple different things. One of them is we don't have the ability that you can bring your own keys as a normal consumer, but as an enterprise you can. So, because enterprise often have these contracts with like Azure, OpenAI, or Google Gemini enterprise contracts, so they can use that. But on the other hand, like one thing that makes Raven very compelling to most of our users is that it's very easy to just set up and use, right? So you don't need another subscription. You don't need to hook it up with something. You can just like download it and get in. So for us, like maintaining that ease of use is super important. And I think there are a couple things to consider, like the way that it works right now is not necessarily going to be the way how it works in the future. Maybe the LLMs that are really expensive right now, you will get the same level of intelligence cheaper, or through an open source model or something like that. And maybe eventually you can self-host on a good computer the model that can achieve the stuff that big models are required to do right now. Especially in the last few months, we've seen a lot of really cool releases from Google, for example, Gemma 4, stuff like that, where you can really see that they manage to scale down and maintain a lot of the reasoning capabilities. They lose a lot of the factualness, but we don't really mind that because we're doing the CAD stuff, right? So as the field is developing, I think we're just like, we have a solution that's working for us right now, but we're always monitoring sort of how that changes. And also how sort of the spending structure of AI tools and firms in the field kind of adapts. So yeah, hard to say what the future brings, but I think there will be a lot of different models and a lot of different ways to leverage tools like Raven.
And I think maybe less of a concern in construction, but nonetheless, I think another issue is the lack of traceability and identity management with MCPs. I mean, you mentioned MCPs, Chloe, but there is no protocol or standard for tracing who used the MCP and when and what data they used, right? I think that there's something fundamentally flawed in the current implementation that needs to be fixed in terms of identity and authentication. I wanted to ask too, so, we've now 4 years into this AI revolution, right? Since OpenAI opened the floodgates. I I think I may have seen an OpenAI moment in the manufacturing world at Prove It when I saw them deploying entire factories with OT, with using Kubernetes and Git within minutes, and I was just blown away. I'm not sure I've seen that engineering. I don't think we've really had a before and an after moment, and maybe we won't. So do you guys think that we're going to have an OpenAI moment engineering or BIM? And what do you think it's going to require to get there? Because and do you think it's like 6 months away, 2 years? I mean, it's hard to say, right? Because everything's changing all the time. But it feels like our jobs and our industry is hard, right? CAD is not easy, and so anyway, I'm wondering how you guys, how you react.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I just thought the audio cut out. Okay, so I think it's gonna happen. But the reason why I haven't seen it happening is also because nobody has had a focus on it. So it happened in coding, and I mean, it's still ongoing, but and a lot of that has to do with the focus that the labs put on coding. So there are many different things you can do with the reasoning model to train it on different tasks, but it's very easy to do it on coding tasks because they're verifiable. You can run a reinforcement learning loop over a set of problems. You can judge whether a code is better or worse than another code using in some way anyway. So there's a lot of style questions and evaluations that are easy to do for code. You could do them for engineering, specific engineering tasks. It's just that the focus hasn't been there. But I think in the last 6 months, you've seen a lot of money going into sort of physical AI startups. Like Bezos has this entire project Prometheus with billions of dollars in funding. So I'm not saying that they're going to solve CAD or something, but in the past year, the focus has been elsewhere, or 2 years. For example, OpenAI didn't put such a big focus on coding, and that's why Anthropic has sort of outgrown them, right? Because Anthropic went all in on coding; they didn't really mind all the other things. And OpenAI is still publishing we solved a new an existing other problem, or that they're interested in protein folding and all these very broad research terms, whereas Anthropic is just sprinting forward with just coding. I mean, they're not even good at vision. They just do coding, but it really paid off for them because they picked a wedge kind of and went all in. And so now everybody else has to be great at coding because you're compared to Anthropic. And that can happen for any other domain. So what you've seen with Gemini is that they started focusing on SVG generation a few months ago, which I think is a step into the CAD world. Of course, they use it for web interfaces and stuff now, but structured SVG is really 2D CAD, right? So going in this direction, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's going to be one of the existing labs or something, but the focus on engineering will happen because people realize that there's this big market there. And it will be different. The AI will have very different capabilities from what we see right now. It's just hard to know, where it's going to come from.
Well, it's interesting because you guys probably saw that last week, MEAI, which is an Austrian surrogate modeling startup that I've actually had on my podcast already, they were acquired by Mistral. And that's especially interesting because Mistral is providing the AI backplane for Dassault Systems portfolio, as well as Context Software, the German PLM. So it seems that at least Mistral is trying to get that wedge in terms of engineering, which is super interesting. And the other thing you made me think of, Moritz, is that I saw a post that someone was reading between the lines of what Jeff Bezos was talking about in terms of Prometheus, because that's what you were referring to. And he actually is talking about CAD. So it's a little, I'm not sure what's happening there, but I think that that whole OpenUSD, because you're trying to model the digital twin of the factory, closed loop optimization, they might actually be looking also at that CAD foundational model too. So it's going to be an interesting year, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it makes a lot of sense if you think about running these loops where you have the agent model something and you can evaluate it and then improve. You can do that for CAD. You can have it model, solve an engineering problem and then run some simulations on it and stuff like that. So Mistral, is it makes sense to build these loops. Question is who's going to do it in what industry for what vertical? But it's totally possible with what they're doing today with coding. You could just map it to a different discipline.
Yeah. And Chloe, I direct that to you too. And I would think about the other big acquisition last week was TwinThread being acquired by Aviva. Now, TwinThread was already a partner of Aviva, but the outright acquisition came as a bit of a surprise, which signals that OpenUSD is really becoming a big deal. And I'm wondering, so OpenUSD is all about building digital twins and having a feedback loop that's in more or less real time. Is that something also the BIM world is looking at? Are you guys trying to get to the point where you design the building gets built, and then as the building's being used, feedback's coming in, and well, maybe the next time we design a building that's a similar area for that same customer, we might need to make these other changes, and so you're getting sort of a feedback loop. Is that something that could happen, BIM, or not?
Uh, for me as a software engineer, it's maybe a bit difficult to reply on that question. I guess so. I think yeah, if you have all this information and now you can incorporate that in your flows and learn from it, I think it's definitely something you should be able to do. Is it something that we are looking at? I think not yet. I think we're not there yet. I think there's a lot more things that have to be done maybe first. But yeah, that's just how I look at it. I would have to check with the real like the more product people to know what they think about it. But yeah, I
Well,
think it should
well,
definitely.
I didn't give you a chance to answer the initial question about just the OpenAI moment for engineering or for BIM. Do you think we're there, or you think it's coming, or you think there'll be many moments and not just one? How do you look at that?
Yeah, I think like Moritz was saying, like I think definitely something is changing. Also because I think for the BIM world, then you have like we are also focusing a lot more on these open standards. So you have also much more, the data becomes more open and compared to the tools where like all the data was kept inside. So this also makes it a lot more possible to really train on the data and to make the make the data more um, more that you have more information, so you can also build better tools around it. Also, I think tool to tool interaction becomes possible that way, and I think that also becomes very powerful. That you can scan a PDF and get all the specifications out, pass that to the BIM tool, which can also leverage that. So I think you start to see these possibilities, and I think that the customers also start to see them. So that way, I think bit by bit, I don't know whether there will be like a really turning point. Maybe there will be, but definitely something is shifting. That's something we really see.
And I think that in the demographics of the people that watch this show, I have maybe 20 to 25% are really entry level. And I can imagine that those kids are having a bit of anxiety because they're like, AI is going to take my job. Um, in terms of you as a software developer, Chloe, and you, Morris, as a founder, what kind of advice do you give to that younger emergent generation, the ones that are coming out of university looking for jobs? What do they need to focus on so they're not immediately replaceable by an agent?
I would always say like stay curious, try it out. Don't pretend like it's going to go away, because I don't think it is. It is not going to go away anymore. But um, I think as long as you learn to handle it and learn how to how to say uh learn how to use it properly, and also I think maybe also be critical about that, because you see a lot of things passing by, but it it doesn't always work. Like there's a lot of tools, for example, that say, we can do this and that, and then you try it out and it doesn't really work. So I think it's important um, that you also see the benefits of some tools, but also realize, okay, some tools don't work. So, um, but you can only figure that out by trying it and by staying curious. I think that's important.
So fluency in the AI tool is super important, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Moritz, what would your advice be?
I would say I get it. I get the anxiety, and I also don't know if anybody really has the answer. Yeah, first of all, honestly. I do think that engaging with the tools is probably the most important thing. If tools are going to change your workflows, that might make you feel like they're going to take your job. But what's probably going to happen is that the job and like the skills and the things that you actually do are going to be slightly different. So, like Chloe said, instead of writing all the code, you're going to have to review a lot of the code. So it's super important that you're great at coding and you understand the code, but the job looks very different, right? So I think that's true for a lot of areas, and I don't see currently, at the current capabilities, the AI replacing engineers. I don't see that. But I do think if that's something that you are worried about, then you need to probably sprint to the front of this wave and figure out sort of how do the skills change and what is going to be really important. Yeah. So that's what I think. And I know that it feels very scary to recent graduates because they think that the entry level jobs are the ones that are falling away. I also want to remind people that young people are usually very good with new tools. They have very good like mental models of how stuff works. They can get experience. They are still very adaptable to new skills. So I'd say embrace that as sort of your strength instead of it being sort of your opponent. Like
Right.
AI is the thing that you can be good at. You can be the person that's good at this, and that's going to be a differentiator.
Yeah. Great answer. Thank you, Moritz. Actually, we do have a question in the chat from Janelle Pierce, and she asks, any advice on how we can better influence AEC decision makers to move beyond viewing AI, BIM, and digital twins as isolated technologies and recognize them as fundamental to the future operational resilience, efficiency, and competitive advantage? What do you think,
I think,
Chloe?
yeah, I was checking. Moritz is maybe lost. He's not moving anymore.
Oh,
Um,
he's not connected? Okay.
that was a long question.
Oh, sorry. Well, I think she's just saying, how can we
Yeah,
influence decision makers so that they can realize that we're not, all these things are connected, the digital twin and the infrastructure and the AI. These aren't three separate questions. They're the same question about improving resilience and efficiency and competitive advantage for firms, right?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think if you use it and you can enhance the quality of your model and yeah, in BIM context, of course, and your model can become the single source of truth, I think a lot less mistakes are made um, for construction world as well. So I think if you start using that and you see that, I hope the decision makers also see the added value of that. And then you can incorporate it, but you can also start doing it bit by bit. Yeah, we have customers that start using it for one project and then see if it actually works. So maybe with some proof of concepts, it's not like you have to immediately shift your whole company. It's also not what we do. So you can start trying it out and try it on one project, and then if that works, incorporate it further. That's
So
what
it's really
what
an argument of ROI then, of just trying to make them understand the ROI that they're getting out of it
yeah.
potentially.
I think that would be the best way to work. Yeah, no one wants to use something that is adding more complexity or um, also I think using tools that really make it transparent what is actually what it's actually doing. I think that's also important. That's also something that we want to focus on, that the output is clear and that you don't have to spend more time on checking whether the result of the AI was actually correct, but just you can quickly see what it actually did, and that you still have you can still grasp what it's outputting.
Well, I asked in LinkedIn. I have not heard back from Moritz. We hope that everything's okay with him and he'll join us. So then and the next question is more about digital maturity. Like when you're working with the customers, and typically AEC is one of the least mature industries. I usually think of digital maturity for companies being on a scale of like 1 to 5, where 5 is the most the most mature, like adaptive digital twins, and one is people are still using email and Excel most of the time. I suppose that most of the customers you're dealing with. Hi, Moritz. Glad to see you back.
To open a new and re-enter
Yeah.
studio as a new person somehow.
So I was asking about digital maturity. So when I think about digital maturity, I think about companies that are not mature, that are using Excel and an email still for collaboration being like a 1. And I think of the mythical company that has all autonomous agentic digital twins. Where does most of your customers sitting? Are they closer to 1? Or some of them at 3? Where do you see your customers today? Chloe,
Very good question. I
go
think, sorry, I'm just jumping. We see everything. And it's interesting because what we see sometimes is that people who are at very low digital maturity will use AI as like the moment where they do embrace it in a way. If that makes sense. So even though they maybe have been very sort of low tech for a while, now they sort of see that as like a leapfrog opportunity. Right? So I think that's interesting.
Okay.
Even for people,
Thanks.
even for less tech people, for example, because it's unlocked on the sort of skills level.
Yeah, I was going to get to that part in the second half of the question, but what about you, Chloe? Did you have some feedback on the maturity of the customers you talked to?
Yeah, I think for us, it's also, I think in general, yeah, we also see a lot of different things, but in general, it's also low to medium, I would say. But I think it's also related to the traditional tools. Like there are always only a few experts in the companies that can actually use these tools. So I think by creating these modern tools, this shift is also starting, and also through AI, they start to see maybe a bit like what we were discussing before. Like they start to see, okay, this can actually solve some workflows and solve some tedious error-prone tasks that we've been having to tackle. So bit by bit, this shift is coming. So there's really a momentum going as far as we can feel. So I think this digital maturity will definitely improve.
But my thesis is that companies that want to move that needle further to the right towards a 5 are much more likely to do so using startups that are powered by AI like Qonic or Raven. If they're depending on Autodesk or Siemens or PTC or Dassault to do that digital transformation, I think 2-3 years later, they're still waiting for it. Even now they're waiting, right? Because AI has been out, and all we're getting is more or less co-pilots, which are so 2024 now. So I'm wondering, in your experience, when the customer sees all that they can do inside of Raven or Qonic, thanks to this AI, is there a bit of an epiphany? Do they go talk to their colleague, like, did you see this? What we can do if we, had we were more mature and we didn't have data silos, and the guys in engineering talk to the guys in manufacturing, and the designers talk to the people in the field, we'd actually be able to do business better. Have you ever seen that had a real impact on the business?
I'll let you go for
Sure.
it.
Yeah, for sure. So one big thing that I can mention here is Rhino Inside Revit workflow. So bringing Rhino stuff into Revit and maybe families and stuff. So Rhino has built this Rhino Inside integration, and it's very, very good and very, very hard to master it, because not only do you need to know all the stuff that you already need to know about Revit, but now you also need to know the stuff about Grasshopper. So it's kind of like this overlapping expertise field that's very small, but it's extremely useful because all of our customers in the AC space have these workflows. Now with Raven, you can generate new files, code that does this transformation, and then also you can use other people. So you no longer need to be the one expert that can author the script themselves and use it, but you can take someone else's script and ask a question about it. And say, even though the tools have been around, just being able to use them with Raven by your side is like a massive unlock. So that's one of the things where it's like, we've been trying to, even the digitally mature ones, like, we've been trying to push this and push that. And there's all this friction around creating new tools and, less data silos and so on. But AI is kind of like the oil in the gears that can like actually make the machine run how it was supposed to on the on like the PowerPoint slides from 2020.
Nice. I
Yeah.
like that answer. How about you, Chloe?
Yeah, similar. But yeah, I think for us, not only AI, but like also the fact that they are using user-friendly tools also helps. Like, for example, we also believe in like the fact that like this licensing model of that you can have unlimited users to make it really accessible for everyone in the company. For example, we had a customer that like only one person was using it, and then bit by bit the others, we really started like to see a ripple effect where more employees of that company were using it, probably because it was also looking way more user friendly for them, so that also really helps, but yeah, of course through AI it becomes also a lot more easy to use, but other than that, I think also through I think I mentioned before, but that like through leveraging this data quality, and um, you have less like garbage in, garbage out than with the classic tools, and then they also feel more maturity of the model and of the product, and therefore there is more interest to also really start using it. So
Nice.
I think that really helps to, if it becomes more reachable, to have also more digital awareness throughout the the industry. Yeah. Oh, I don't
I
hear
think you're
you
muted,
anymore.
Fino.
Yes.
Oops. How's that? No, I said I think that validates my thesis that startups are a better place to count on digital transformation, particularly if you want an accelerated version of that, right? That's about all I had in terms of questions today. I was curious in terms of people wanting to meet you guys and wanting to learn more about your solutions. Where can they do that over the coming months?
I think
Yeah,
for
so
us, go ahead.
No,
I
go
know.
ahead.
I'll go first this time. For us, I think some important ones for us is in October we will be at the Building Smart Summit in Tokyo.
Nice.
There we will also have our own Qonic talks with some dedicated sessions about Qonic for who is interested.
In
And
Tokyo? That's cool.
yeah. But we also have something a bit more close by. So here in Belgium, in Ghent, in our hometown, we will also do a Qonic Talks event, 27th of October. So
Oh,
everyone
okay.
is definitely also welcome to join that one.
Oh, looking forward to my invite.
Yeah, you will.
How about you, Morris?
yeah, so we have on our website we have like a list of things where you can meet us. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I can already say in the next week and on Monday we are putting on a Rhino user meeting in New York together with SOM
Nice.
and McNeil. So we love the Rhino user meetings in Europe. They don't really happen in the US. So we asked the McNeil guys about it, and they said you'll have to make it happen yourself. So on June 1st, if anyone's listening is in New York, come by.
Awesome.
And then we're going to be at a couple other upcoming conferences. We're going to Acadia, which is in September in the US, ISSS in Torino, which is in Italy. These are kind of more academic conferences, and then AEC Tech, of course, in New York again.
Are
These
you
kinds
doing
of
the
places.
CD Fam in DC? Are you
And
guys
we're not going
to?
to be in DC, but
Okay, cool. Well, I
but
hope that. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I mean, we always we have like, if you want to meet us, go on our website, scroll down. There's like a list of events, and you'll find something. I hope near where you are. So,
Right. I'm still planning to do one in another event in Munich before the end of the year. So I hope that I'll see you guys there. And once again, thanks to the audience for joining. We had a good audience today. A shout out to the sponsor, AWS. Please download the white paper. I think there's actually a video associated with that. I'll put the link in the comments. And once again, a big thanks to Moritz and to Chloe for joining me today. I really appreciate your openness and all your answers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for hosting.
yeah,
It was very
thank you very
interesting.
much for hosting us.
And
It's a great
so stay
conversation.
tuned. This will be published up on YouTube pretty soon, and we'll talk to you everybody later. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And for folks that are watching and on LinkedIn, you know that in about an hour and 15 minutes, I'll have another one of these, but with supply chain startups, Omne and Barden. It's going to be a really cool discussion too. So thanks to everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.